This woman is posing as a homeless person and pretending to ask for money, when a woman walks by and takes some of her money before leaving. She puts more money there to test the next person. Soon after, a man approaches her and, taking advantage that no one is looking, takes her money. Then he walks back, complaining that he doesn't know how they allow people like that on the street. When she is alone, she realizes that he took money from her. So she puts some more money in the box to test other people in the company. She leaves some bills inside the box, and some on the floor underneath the box. Then goes back to her character, thus resuming the character testing of people. After a while, she ends up lying down right there on the sidewalk, and closes her eyes. A man approaches and finds her asleep. So he wakes her up and warns her that her money is on the ground, that she should be careful or she will be robbed. He puts the money in the box that was lying on the floor, and also gives her some money to help her, then leaves, wishing her a good day, and the woman thanks him for his help. She is totally satisfied after that, picks up her box and leaves. Once inside the company, a woman enters the room saying that she will evaluate the candidates for the job position. The first candidate gets up quickly, greeting her and introducing herself, and the evaluator greets her and asks her to sit down. When one of the candidates stands up, the other pulls him back and stands up first, greeting the evaluator. When he asks her name, the woman says it doesn't matter and asks him to sit down. Soon the other candidate stands up, also greeting her, and he says that he recognizes her, but the woman quickly interrupts him saying that he is confusing her and can sit down again. Then she sits down at the table and says that they can start now. The evaluator explains that the company has decided to appoint a new manager among the employees, so she introduces each of the candidates so that they can get to know each other. First, she introduces the communications manager, saying that she has an excellent resume. Second, she introduces the second candidate, saying that he is a financial genius. Lastly, she introduces the third candidate, who is the head of the cleaning department. After that, she says she will leave the three alone so that they can introduce themselves, and then leaves the room. When the three are alone, the woman starts laughing and asking how they had the courage to put a cleaner there, saying that they just want to feel good about including people like him. The third candidate ends up saying that the man should get the hell out of there. But the man says that he feels very honored to be there, even more so next to two professionals like those two. Then the third candidate starts to say that the room is dirty, telling him to clean it up, since this is his specialty. Soon after, an employee enters the room greeting them. He apologizes for the delay and says that in compensation he brought a snack for them to serve themselves. He wishes them well with their snacks, and asks to be excused as he leaves the room again. The woman stands up observing this, thinking that it is a very greasy food and she is taking care of her health, but then thinks again that this food looks quite tasty. Then the homeless person enters the room, and the candidate already starts to say that he feels defeated. And the homeless goes through the garbage, looking for something to eat, but can't find anything. She begs them to give her some food. Then the candidate takes the sandwich, asking if she is hungry and wants to eat that sandwich. The woman shakes her head several times. But in an act of malice, the candidate throws the sandwich on the ground. And even as she whimpers, the homeless woman turns to the other woman in the room, begging her to give her something to eat. But the candidate immediately pushes her away, ordering her to get away and calling her disgusting. Then one of the men, in all his kindness, gives the last sandwich from the tray to the homeless woman, who is very happy and thanks him, and then leaves the room. The candidate starts laughing, saying that the man only gave food to that homeless, because they both are of the same species. Then he says that he can rest assured that when he becomes a manager, he will be able to fill the company with people like him. And the woman laughs, saying that the company would look horrible. Then they both begin to mock the man together, saying that it is impossible for him to be the company's manager. The financial candidate says that when he becomes the manager things will change. Soon afterwards the evaluator enters the room. Then she explains that she will ask a question, and whoever of the three answers correctly will be named the new company manager. She asks if they consider themselves a good person. The first candidate begins to say that she considers herself a magnificent person because she has always studied in the best schools and has never had a problem with the law. The second candidate, on the other hand, says that he is not only a magnificent person, but also an excellent person, and this is because his parents taught him principles, that they taught him not to drink or smoke. Then the evaluator asks about the third candidate. And he answers that he doesn't think he is a good person, because he had no father and his mother did the impossible to raise him. He says that since he was a child he was always at the mercy of the street, and because of this he learned a lot of bad things, but he also learned many good things. The third candidate says that he learned to work in order to support himself so that he could help his mother and his brothers. He says that he is there today because of people he met on the street who helped him to work in that company. He also says that it was with this job that he was able to pay for his college education, and that he is now in his 5th semester. The evaluator thanks him for being sincere, then ends up disqualifying the first two candidates, and the woman starts questioning why she was disqualified. The woman doesn't understand, because according to her, the best answer was hers. Soon after, the other woman enters the room, thanks the evaluator and says she will explain everything. She then says that as they know, there is an opening for a manager in the company, and they did the evaluations which consisted of stages. She tells them that the first test was the honesty test, where they stole the money from the homeless woman. And those two did not pass the test because they did not take a second to take advantage of a homeless woman. The second test was about leadership ability. If they had realized that the cleaning lady was actually the evaluator, where the first two candidates ignored her presence and even mistreated her. But the third candidate was a kind person to her, greeting her nicely, introducing himself and not caring that she was a cleaner. Later, the boss, who was disguising herself as a homeless person, comes into the company and wants to know how that test is going. The evaluator explains that the first two candidates did not pass the test, and the boss sees this as a disappointment, but is determined to continue with the tests. The third test was to see how much empathy and nobility the candidates have, and that's when they were offered food and introduced again the homeless woman. Then in this test, the same candidates treated the woman in the worst possible way. And the boss reveals that it was her disguised as a homeless woman. The fourth and final test was to find out how modest they are. And the first two candidates are not modest at all. The evaluator had asked a simple question, and they began to brag, and talk about values that they don't have, and proved the opposite to the boss. Now the last candidate, he was the only one who passed all the tests, and he surprised her very much. He was the only one who showed humbleness, honesty and nobility. The boss congratulates him, then asks for him to come closer to her, while the other two candidates are watching everything. The boss keeps talking that he is the only honest and upright person, who has a lot of purity in his heart. Then she says she is going to shake hands with the new company manager, and says she wants him to show all the ability and potential he has. The two women clap their hands for him, happy for their choice of the new manager. Then the boss turns to the two candidates who didn't pass and says that they are fired after all they have done. The candidate starts to make excuses for not being fired, claiming to be very competent. Then the candidate takes that opportunity to return the money she had stolen. The boss thanks her, but says she won't change her mind, ordering them to get out of there. And the boss again congratulates the new manager. The appraiser is also happy for him, claiming that he deserves this position. And the new manager thanks her for the opportunity. The boss takes the opportunity to return the $100 he had given her when she was posing as a homeless person. The man thanks her and promises he won't let her down, and she is sure of it. Then they both embrace, happy that everything turned out well. Education doesn't need a university. values are learned at home.